Hello. I'm going to do a quick energy reading, and then I also just want to talk about something that I was thinking about a lot today. I wouldn't necessarily call it collective energy reading, but it's just information, and I've been having some pretty interesting conversations for the last few days. So what I was thinking about is how a lot of people think about their own habits or things that they want to change and try to adopt new behaviors or stop doing things. And I think that's really good, and that's what we should do with our own self-reflective processes when we're healing. But at the same time, we have a tendency to be so incredibly hard on ourselves when we're not perfect around those areas of change. And it's like, sometimes you're not ready to do something or evolve a part of yourself. And I feel like the work it falls by the wayside if we go into self-criticism, and there's a need to uncover what the function of the behavior is that we're having a hard time changing, even though we're intentional about wanting to change it, and recognizing that it may not be the most fruitful thing to carry forth if we're trying to evolve ourselves in certain ways. This is interesting that I'm communicating this in this way, because I feel like I was on a different cloud of thought, and I've migrated throughout the day. So I had, again, it was more so some thoughts that I was having consciously. It was less so channeled collective messages. So the conversation will probably continue in the future. I just got out of the sauna and I feel incredibly relaxed. And so I'm also just sharing a message about body detoxification. And I was in there thinking about sweat lodges and meditative experience, just exposing the body to extremes. I think about the circulation system and how nice it is to feel all of your pores being steamed open and whatnot. And I have this beautiful pendant that was a gift. I keep thinking the camera's over here. It's not. It's over there. This has been really useful for me lately. I've shared this before, but I have, just a very large collection of crystals, large items, and then pocket crystals, and then itty bitty minis, and then stock to gift to people at all times. Almost always have a few extras on me to give to somebody if I feel it to be beneficial or the right thing to do. Okay, here. So I do want to do just an energy check-in. The other thing that's so funny about me coming home to Vermont is that I'm spotting wildlife in my dreams. Like I physically did see a black bear yesterday, which was very exciting because I had just been talking about it, and then driving through the beautiful, windy roads going up to the ski mountains, and coming around a corner, and I remember that corner because there was an opossum carcass on the road, and so the bear was like eating it up ahead, and then I was taking a video, but I got so excited that I dropped my phone. I was driving and taking a video because the leaves are pretty. But bear symbology, because I was talking about wanting to see a bear, and then we saw a bear, and then I saw a bear in my dream, and then I saw a moose in my dream, and then I saw a very big, beautiful owl in my dream. And a lot of this is, again, it's not collective messages per se. These are aspects of nostalgia from childhood for me being in the place that I grew up and made so many core memories. But the bear actually was the one that I saw, and I was like, bear symbolism. I mean, there's a lot of symbols within the bear. It's strength, it's power, it's like protection. And I just think about cubs and everything, because the whole thing with being in a place where you might encounter a bear, or like, people who are outdoorsy and stuff, is like, you never want to get between a mama bear and her cubs. And unfortunately, people do that accidentally and get into very bad situations. I am so excited. I was like, we should get out and get a closer look. And my friend's like, with the bear? And she was right. You do not want to get out. Here we have the current energy, okay? It's the Two of Pentacles, so we might be at a juncture right now, some type of choice, some type of material choice before our eyes and our faces. energy to embrace is the Six of Cups. That's reunion and nostalgia. And I was just talking about childhood stuff. And energy to release is the Hanged Man. So keeping self in suspension. Hanged Man in the release position is talking about feeling like we're seeing a broader perspective, but I believe it's time to kind of get back to, with the current energy, the choices that we do have in front of us, and trusting the bigger picture has crystallized enough in the background to be able to embrace kind of the connections we want to pursue. This card is one of my favorites in the way that it's been coming out, because it's been coming out in different positions for a few weeks. Clarifier for Two of Pentacles in the current. It's the step up. So we have like a new beginning or a new way of approaching the day-to-day and the physical, and it's a choice. Or the ascension from the 1 to the 2. Clarifying the Six of Cups in the energy to embrace position is the Empress. So it's easy to discern the things to like move towards and the things to let go, because they're going to be resoundingly, like, I feel like the passages of the last few months have clarified the things that make us feel good and the things that don't, and where things were once shrouded in disconnect around that, where we had impulses that felt good but they weren't fueling the spirit and the self because of the coping mechanisms and the layers to certain purges that were happening energetically. We were having to unlearn and do the recircuitry. I was talking about circuitry a few weeks ago, and I feel like we have aligned to a place where when you want to choose between two things, it becomes easier to embrace the things that feel resonant in, you know, connection with people. And I've talked long ago, it was a video that I titled like returning to a childlike sense of nostalgia, or embracing a childlike sense of nostalgia. So with the cups, it's emotional, but with the Empress, it spans out to everything. And that's what I talked about last week when I did a reading with the other tarot deck that has so much navy in the palette, because it's like a nocturnal setting that's more tied into the subconscious. And the Ace of Chalices was there, and I was talking about the emotions being the root of the rest of our abundance anyway. And we talked about that a little bit yesterday, as far as kind of merging some of, collapsing old timelines, really, is what I want to say. Clarifying the Hanged Man in the energy to release position is a heartbreak card and a heartbreak energy. I want to get another one. I'm immediately hearing that. Yeah, because it's over. There's the Death card and the Hanged Man in the energy to release. So 2 major arcana, and then the Empress in the energy to embrace. So it's like there has been this liminal thing that I was talking about in September, but now it's like there's another big level up that is somewhat natural, because we had Judgment yesterday, and with Judgment and Justice, there's an as above so below component to that. So it's almost like the cosmic clockwork of the puppeteer, really, with the things that are outside of our free will, have adjusted yet again. So I think that the things we're moving away from, with the gloves made of skin analogy again, it's not necessarily all comfortable, because we also might be giving some type of, with the Eight of Swords yesterday, and self-imposed prisons, types of excuses, really, to prolong chapters that we understand are over. And there's a lot of emotional release in accepting that, but also realizing that there's such a dichotomy between the way that we can move in the world now. And I'm talking about a way, like, it doesn't require the Empress representing abundance and luxury, and then the current energy being pentacle based. The beauty of all of this residing in this kind of emotional shift, and again, moving away from self-imposed like punishment, really, around certain things, even if they happened a long time ago, is that it's a mindset shift. So you don't have to already have certain amounts of stability in order to start kind of showing up to your intersections throughout the day, therefore the week and the month, and these larger cycles about mindfulness, I think. Clarify the current energy with the Ace of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles. The This is lovely. It's the Fool. So now we have major arcana in every single column, and this card came out yesterday. And what I was saying is, like, these things that used to feel naive, we have kind of stripped down those layers of convolution around our associations, which takes a long time. I love it. I'm gonna do some shuffling just to get additional commentary on the whole thing. It's not immediately. It's the Magician. Clarify the Magician top and bottom. Super cool. 9 of Pentacles, 9 of Cups. So now I do feel like, because there has been some type of, like, really the whole process of what we're about to move into with the eclipse season, there's a huge magical undercurrent, and you're going to see this reflected in the macro and the micro, like the people in your lives, but also the way that societal narratives will be turning throughout these months. So 9 of Pentacles, 9 of Cups, Magician. A few weeks ago I was talking about not needing to actively, like, roll the snowball as you do when a small snowball rolling down a hill is going to amass volume, and we were taking a break from doing that in the realm of conscious manifestation. But I kind of see that with the removal of certain blocks and being able to rewire certain circuitry, there's a competency around our spiritual muscles, so that the manifestation feels a little bit more second nature, whereas before there was some cognitive dissonances crumbling that felt really perhaps challenging. But I also think that it is all different for different people, and that for a lot of people, some of these lessons came through the partnerships that either came together or fell apart. So again, it's a quick reading, but I'm glad that I clarified this, because it's there's a lot of symmetry in this too. That's what I'll say. With the Pentacles, we have one, you know, Cups card in the center column, and then these came out to add again to the themes of the Pentacles and the fulfillment, and these both being 9s in balance. And everything's, like, very accurate too, to have such positive cards in all the right places, and kind of endings and closeouts. I never really speak of cards as being positive or negative, because it's all about context, but everything's a story and a continuation of how they've been showing up in recent energy. So wait, I'm interested to see what we have as far as, I'm going to draw 3 cards from the top, and it's just going to be foreshadowing for the, like, 10-10, 10-14, the 10-14 new moon solar eclipse. 1, 2, 3. That's nice. That's nice energy. So we have swords entering the mix, and it's the King of Swords. And how I spoke on this card last week, it was in the energy to release position, but we had the Queen of Wands in the embrace. So it was kind of a switch between forcing and controlling things to remembering why we ever have motivation to do anything. And that includes, like, you know, what you choose to articulate or speak on, versus what is ego projection and, you know, necessary and whatnot, and the impact that can have as far as making a little pivot. But now I see it kind of being a reclamation of power in a different way, because what else came out? So I'm going to leave it at that, but I see it as being able to recircuit kind of a next level of mastery with the same, like, flow of abundance that has started to align a little bit better. The things that were back to, I'm not feeling as creative as usual when it comes to analogies flowing, because it takes me a while in my longer readings to get to, you know, a state of that kind of knitting things together. But I like the idea of being able to drop into a space of doing mini reads more often. But what I was going to say is that just using the circuitry again. No, I was going to say using, like, a pinball machine. It's like we did have a couple extra wedges that we didn't realize were in there. And this is the thing around the self-criticism that I started this reading by talking about, where it's like we will act as if we have done something wrong to even have these wedges once we become aware of them. And that's not the productive way to do it. It's to accept. There's a certain radical acceptance. This actually ties into dialectical behavioral therapy and being able to watch like the dance of the mind and what that activity represents, because your thoughts are just like these, you know, these crashing structures, like tsunamis. Like there's such force to these thought structures. And I think a lot of people don't think that they're like, you know, deep or have depth, and perhaps that is true, you know, for some. But I also think that we kind of prevent ourselves from going to certain depths. And as I always say, with Three of Swords energy, it doesn't mean it's not there anyway. It's the bugs under the rock. And now that I say that, I actually, with my friend today this was yesterday on the beach, she did pick up a rock and say that there was bugs underneath it. So that analogy came back in real life around, like, she picked up the rock and told me that, right? This is a synchronicity for me for the reading. We see the bugs for what they are under the rock, you know? And like, you can see, I think, reflected in collective societal energies, and also probably subsets of collective, so like larger groups, right, or like companies, or like families and extended families, the ways in which sometimes things hit a certain level of dysfunction before a certain people's cognitive processing of that like lines up, to be able to all acknowledge something together. I think a lot of people, when it comes to groups, they acknowledge things on different levels, but then we try to force our opinions on everybody else, even if we don't know that's what we're doing. So the summary of this is that the beautiful, like when I say everything's in the right column, it's like we're embracing the good things and we're releasing the bad things, because we can trust that when we are faced with different kinds of decisions we've done, and there's been a lot of restructuring, to be a little to be a little freer with ourselves and not feel like it compromises anything about our like integrity and value as a person. I guess it's a beautiful energy because it's in balance and it's fulfilled. There's this ability to manage these things that felt daunting, you know. We can be multiple things at once, right? Fulfilled and abundant, and also continuing to work free and open-hearted and excited in an optimistic manner, as in the beginning of an adventure, you know, while still being balanced and in control. And then we can still be working towards more while we be giving in the material realm. So that's it for this evening. Clarifier for the new moon solar eclipse with those 2 9s and the other card. I'm sorry, no, it was the 6 of Pentacles, the 8 of Pentacles. Clarifier. It's the Wheel of Fortune. Yes, that's exactly what I'm feeling. It's exactly what I'm feeling, because we've been through quite a cycle this summer, and these next 3 months are kind of the wheel turning back again. So I'm excited, and I hope everybody else is, and definitely take time to rest and just like enjoy moment to moment existence. The small things. The small moments of appreciation go a long way in times like this energetically. It's like we don't need to know more than's available to us, and we can trust that we're in a good place, right, in the spiritual realm. Things, I feel like there's a truth in the collective that has this this quality, it will burn off and dispel the things that do not belong, and kind of accessing that within ourselves and applying it to everything and remembering that it's there, and that you're not crazy. You do have an intuition and a higher self and the ability to connect with things that may be incongruent with our pasts or the way we used to live. But I also just saw like a child on a bike with training wheels, and like them just being magically removed because they're glowing and they kind of vibrate off the bike. That's really beautiful, right? It goes back to the way that I started this message, talking about the fact that sometimes we get caught up in the self-criticism of not being ready to make certain changes, but when we are ready, we will know. So you're always right on time in that regard, because things will resonate when it's time. And I think that you can learn a lot from forcing transitions, but we can also trust that with the Wheel of Fortune, there's going to be a natural flow to how things go. Okay,